Good morning, guys. Today we're going to go ahead and take a look at equivalent fractions. If you struggled in the basic fractions lesson yesterday, so maybe if you scored like 60 or lower, I would definitely go back and look at that lesson because it's important to have a basic understanding of fractions before you move into more complicated questions. So let's take a look at some examples of the type of questions you'll see in today's equivalent fractions lesson. All right. So when finding equivalent fractions, we use cross multiplication to tell if two fractions are equivalent. Okay. Now, cross multiplication can also be the butterfly method, and we've used it a few different times in the past, right, to work with equivalent fractions. So here's an example of a question we're going to see today where they're wanting us to find the missing numerator. Okay. So we're going to use what we know about cross multiplication to help us solve this problem. Find the missing numerator. Now, if we wanted to cross multiply, obviously we don't want to start with 4 times blank. That's not going to help us, okay? So we're going to come over here and work with 2 times 6 first. What's 2 times 6? 12, right? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. I counted by 2 6 times, and I found that 2 times 6 was equal to 12. Okay? Now, I still can't do 4 times blank, but I'm not stuck here, right? The thing about cross multiplication is I know that these two fractions are equal, right? And if we have two fractions that are equal, then we know that this side has to be equal to 12 also, okay? So I know that 6 times 2 is 12, and I know that 4 times something equals 12. Do you know what number is missing here? 4 times what equals 12? This is a good place where we can use a fact we know to help us answer this question, and I hope that you guys do know this fact. Or, of course, we could go ahead and switch it up and use division if we had to find what the missing number was. Do you know 4 times what is 12? Let's see how many times we have to count 4 to get to 12. 1, 2, 3, 4, that's 1 time. 5, 6, 7, 8, that's 2 times. 9, 10, 11, 12. 3 times. We had to count 4 to get to 12, right? So 4 times 3 equals 12, and 12 divided by 4 equals 3. You could also go ahead and draw equal groups. So the missing number must be 3, okay? And I went ahead and I just drew a model, so I wanted you guys to see that 2/4, which is what's shown here, 2 parts are shaded, there's 4 in the whole model, really does equal 1, 2, 3, 6. See how the same amount of each model is shaded? Even though they're cut into a different number of pieces, it's still the same amount. Let's look at another example. There's a couple questions like this today. 5/5 equals blank thirds. Okay, we don't know how many thirds. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do exactly what we just did on the last page. Okay, we're going to use what we can about cross multiplication to solve this problem. Now, I don't want to go this way first because I can't do 5 times nothing. This isn't going to help me. So I start with the two numbers I do have. 5 times 3, count by 5s. 5, 10, 15, 20. Oh, I messed that up. Count by 3s 5 times. Sorry. 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. 5 times 3 is 15. Okay? Now, over here, I have 5 times blank, and it's also going to equal 15 because these two fractions I already know are equal. It says they're equal right here. And cross multiplication, okay, says that this number is equal to this number if these two fractions are equivalent. So I know that 5 times something equals 15. Okay, 5 times blank equals 15. And if I don't know it, I could always go ahead and divide using equal groups. We practiced that last week, and you guys were pretty good at it. Okay. The answer is 3. Okay, actually, for this one, this is kind of an easier problem, right? Because right here, we just said that 3 times 5 equaled 15. So we know 5 times 3 must equal 15 too, right? And take a look at these two fractions. Does this make sense to you? Does 5/5 equal 3/3? 1, 2, 3/3. This is 5/5 and this is 3/3. What do you notice about both of these models? How about that 5/5 and 3/3 both equal 1 whole? Both of these models equal 1 whole model shaded in completely. So if you see 5/5 equals 3/3, what about 5/5 equals blank fourths? How many fourths would 5/5 equal? 5/5 equals 4/4. 5/5 equals how many halves? 5/5 equals 2 halves, right? All fractions that are equal to 1 whole are also equal to each other, okay? So you could like keep this going, right? You could say 5/5 equals 3/3 equals 2 halves equals 8/8 or whatever. Okay, all of these fractions are equal to 1 whole, so they're also all equal to each other. Let's take a look at another example of a type of question you're going to see. Okay, so another question type you might see looks like this. It says select all, that's important, there's going to be more than one answer. Select all the fractions that are equivalent, that means equal, to 1/2. Okay, so we want to look at all of these fractions and find the ones that are equal to 1/2. So that means in order to solve this problem, we're going to be doing cross multiplication 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Okay, because we want to see which one of these are equal to 1/2. So all of these are going to get cross multiplied with 1/2. 1/3 and 1/2, 4/8 and 1/2, 2 1s and 1/2, 3/6 and 1/2, and 5/10 and 1/2. Okay, so let's go ahead and try these out. I'm going to check and see which one of these are equal to 1/2 using cross multiplication. 2 times 1 is 2. 1 times 3 is 3. Does 2 equal 3? No. So these fractions aren't equal. Let's try down here. What's 1 times 8? 8. What's 4 times 2? 8. And notice when I cross multiply, guys, that I stick the numbers at the top, like the antennas for a butterfly. Okay? Otherwise, you'll get messed up. Does 8 equal 8? Yes, it does. So these fractions must be equal to each other. 2 times 2 is 4. 1 times 1 is 1. Does 4 equal 1? No, so not equal. 2 times 3 or 3 times 2 is 2, 4, 6. Notice how the number goes up at the top. 6 times 1 is 6. Does 6 equal 6? Yes, then these two fractions are equal to one another. Check out the last one. 5 times 2, count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. 1 times 10 is 10. Does 10 equal 10? Yes, so these two fractions are equal to each other. And I had to check them all. I couldn't guess just by looking at them. Look what they stuck in here to play with you. 1/2 equals 2 1s. People like to jump on an answer like this because it has the same numbers, but don't do it. Don't fall for the tricks. All right, I wish you guys good luck today. Use what you know about cross multiplication to help you in today's lesson, and I'll see you soon. We do have our Google Meet tomorrow, which is on Wednesday, and I look forward to seeing you then.